Super dark shit.
Alright, guys.
I'll check you later, bro.
Oh.
When you come back around, you know what I'm saying? I'll be right here. I ain't fucking with that shit, though.
Alright, YouTube. My cousin's in the background giving me some M&M lore. He didn't know that we were actively starting the recording. But the first thing we're going to do is take some of this Henry product, smear it on the floor. Then we're going to use our thin nap roller to spread it out. This Henry product needs to sit, I believe, for about 35-40 minutes. It's been a while since I used this one, but I do have lines laid out to let me know where the end of my rows are. And once it's fully ready to for me to apply the final planks, it will become tacky, but it won't stick to my fingers. It's kind of a good telltale sign to know when it's ready. But I'm going to spread it out wide enough. I believe this small jar has enough for me to do 75 square feet, so that should be enough for me to glue down these first 2 rows along with the step. So we're going to use this roller nap and kind of keep it inside of that line just a little bit. We're going to keep it off of the slide as well. I don't want to get it that close. This is the Henry 650, by the way. This one works for LVP, LVT, luxury vinyl carpet as well. It also does the sheetback vinyl that people use for the floor. Does a couple different products. Only thing I really cared about is that it worked for vinyl planks, hence we were installing. I might have poured too much, but my row is going all the way down here to the front of the truck, so I'm gonna keep pulling it back down this way. And then we're gonna let it sit before we start putting in the planks. I already roughed out a row pretty much all the way up to the seat, which my main portion that I really want to get glued down is this area that's right here in front of the slide. I want to make sure that as the slide comes in and out, these first 2 rows don't have any give or any move in them. So after we get these ones laid out, we're gonna lay a couple planks on top of it, or a couple boxes right here in this area to kind of keep this weighed down. Then the rest of the floor will just float. Looks like I might have poured just enough actually as we get down toward the end up here by this front seat. That's what we call professionalism. We don't make mistakes. Nail it on the first try. What's about here? I want to pull it anywhere. I'm going to take time now. Smooth out the back out to the end. I'm going to keep it across the board. I do have to back inside a bit. Maybe looking at it about that's all. Alright, now we're going to let her sit and we'll be back. I'll join you guys when we start laying in the planks and we carry the floor and going the rest of the way to the other side. So once again, I forgot that my mic, cuts off after a little while, and my mic was actually off on this entire recording section. So I want to give you guys a few tips for actually installing the LVP into a glue surface like this. One, after your glue has completely tacked up, what you want to do is kind of already have your lines popped or laid out on your floor, so you know exactly where you need to lay out your planks. Because once they kind of set up in the adhesive, after a couple seconds, maybe a couple minutes, you're not going to be able to move them. It's essentially like a contact adhesive, so as soon as it makes that contact, it starts setting up and it's going to be there once you set it down. So you don't want your rows running crooked, and you want to also make sure you have the proper spacing off of your slide out, so that way all your rows going forward are all running parallel to your actual slide out. And also, if your rows are not perfectly in line with each other, at the very beginning, you'll have issues locking in all the tongue and grooves as you continue on throughout the floor. So make sure you have everything and all the pieces already laid out and cut, so that way you're not trying to pull pieces back and forward, up and down inside the adhesive. And also take your time and good luck. But yeah, after your first 2 rows are down, the rest of this is going to go like a standard LVP flooring install. So I'll be able to hand it back over to myself for the rest of the video. Kind of let me explain how we continue onward through the rest of this process. And I also get to show you guys the very next problem that I run into. Gotta love it.
All right, now we're going to continue the flooring from the back here. So the first thing we need to do is take our plank, bring it up against the wall so we can figure out our notch. The first notch is going to be right there. Then I can take the plank and bring it up here toward the front. And I get the other end of my notch. Let me see the tape measure. And then the framing square. So this mark that I made off the back end is about 2.5. We're gonna go on 2 5/8. I'm gonna transfer that same mark up here on the front at 2 5/8. Again, this is also assuming though that our row is running parallel with this refrigerator cabinet, but our row is running parallel with the front slide. So I'd imagine that it's running parallel with this refrigerator unless they frame this wall off. But we will use it as a reference. We do have 1/4 round going down, so I can should be able to cover any gaps that are created. If it's too large, then I'll just adjust my notch on the next piece. I'm using this other plank as a straight edge to line up my 2 marks, scribe my line, and then I'll remove this with a jigsaw. I'll come right here to the trash can. Probably should actually take this outside. So we just finished sweeping the floor. What I'm going to try to do is keep most of this inside the trash can. Normally on a whole house install, I'll do all my cutting in a room that I've already finished, just so we don't have to keep re-sweeping. But we're working inside of a fairly small RV, so instead of hopping outside on each cut, we might end up sweeping after each cut. We don't know. That's what he's here for. I love you too. You can tilt, slide her in. And what I want to do actually is I want to get it to slide underneath this cabinet here, so I can just run 1/4 round straight along this edge. So I'm actually going to cut some of this off at the wall to slide her down. And I want it to come, so that's a 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch to there. So I'm going to take off about a 1/2 inch off the backside, which will allow my notch to slide further, and then this piece will be to go up under the face frame of this refrigerator cabinet. I would attempt to score and snap it, but whenever you're dealing with a small piece like that, like this, it's kind of hard to do. That should allow it to go up under this face frame, nice and pretty. tap her that way. So this beat block will work. Can I see the hammer? There we go, that's right up underneath the thing. Then I can run quarter round across this face. And I still have a gap down there, so I might actually try to go just a fuzz more. Then we're gonna grab another full plank and we can continue laying the flooring as usual. I'll snap this seam in, then I'll come back with my beat block, give her a tappy tap tap. Just to make sure everything is seated. Oh, that's what I'm forgetting. This floor has bolts in it. I was wondering why that wasn't laying flat. And for these bolts, I'm going to take, instead of trying to grind them down, some of them are countersunk underneath the floor by tightening the bolt on the backside. I can't go up under, well I could, but I'm not. Go up underneath and try to tighten some of these down. So what I'm going to do instead is use a Forstner bit and just countersink these bolts in the backside of each one of my planks. So I'm just going to take my square, line up with the bolt, strike me a line all the way across. That's the center of the bolt roughly, and we will say it's about from where the plank's going to sit, let's say 5.5 inches to the center. So I can take my plank, set it in place, get it about all the way down where it needs to be. I can take a reference mark. I'll put it on the tongue where nobody's going to see it. Come over to the back side. I know it's 5.5 inches from the edge. That's about the center. And then we're just going to hog out just a little bit of the plank, mainly just the padding probably, so I can clear around that bolt. Oh, it's still on hammer drill. There we go. Oh yeah, sweeping. I'm sorry. I didn't just make a mess, guys. And then just like that, the plank is able to lay flat. I might actually go just a little bit more. Yeah, you still can feel the bolt just a little bit. There's only 3 rows of bolts that are exposed. So I won't have to do this on every single plank. But that is the simplest solution I found to work around the exposed bolts in the floor. Exposed carriage bolts in the floor. Let me see the razor blade. No, I got it. Sorry. When I pulled this plank out, a little bit of the tongue had chipped off in there. That was stopping it from going flush. Let me see another full plank. Ouch. And let me see the nail pullers actually. A few staples right there. As we go along on this process, you want to make sure that you're removing the staples and things that will stop the flooring planks from sitting flat. And we will call that 5 3/8.
And just to reiterate, this is going to be like a standard LVP flooring install. So any humps or bumps inside of your floor will cause issues with your planks as you continue onward. So these carriage bolts are a small but also larger problem than most people will probably realize. Some people will try to lay their planks directly on top of it and see that it kind of humps up just a little bit and keep going. The issue that you will end up with is that some of your planks will not fully lock into each other or fully seat because the plank before it has a slight arch in it. So that's also why you also want to make sure that your floors are flat as well, which is why we did all the extra steps in preparation when it came to sanding the subfloor and getting everything back to the original subfloor. So in this case, drilling out the carriage bolts is probably the best method for this, because crawling up under the RV and trying to figure out where they're bolted off to, and hopefully even be able to get a socket onto it to even tighten them up, that would have been a whole, that would have been kind of wishful thinking that it'll go smoothly. So instead of all that, we decided to get the flooring going the way that we are now, and you guys will see pretty much most of the flooring laid by the next video. Then we have a few more small tips to show you guys throughout this process, and then we have the big unveil. So if you guys have enjoyed, please let me know down in the comments, leave me a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.